Welcome back into Wake Up America. Thanks for staying with us. I'm sure you remember the IRS whistleblowers that testified last week on Capitol Hill. Gary Shapley, Joe Ziegler, they both had stellar service records. They testified about their investigation into Hunter Biden and how it was hampered by the DOJ every step of the way. They are now apparently being targeted by legal action by the Biden Justice Department. Didn't take long, took about a week. For more, let's welcome in attorney for IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley, Tristan Leavitt. Good morning. Good to have you on this morning. I appreciate you being with us. Take us through exactly what's going on here.
Absolutely. So from the time that the IRS whistleblowers came forward, they knew that Hunter Biden's attorneys were extremely aggressive. Last summer, Chris Clark had threatened prosecutors as they had communicated that they were looking at the 2014 and 2015 tax years, which is the years when there was the Burisma income, and DOJ was looking at charging a felony in that case. Chris Clark told them, if you charge my client, you'll be committing career suicide. So they absolutely knew what they were up against. After the whistleblowers first came forward, a month ago, the New York Times reported that the Chris Clark and Hunter's other attorneys had told the Justice Department that they believed that our client, Gary Shapley, should be charged with criminal charges because he allegedly leaked confidential information, including grand jury information, which is supposed to be protected. But those grand jury secrecy laws simply talk about the deliberations of the grand jury. You can't cover up facts that a grand jury would look at. And you know, you can't say because the grand jury talked about the sun being yellow that you can't discuss that fact outside.
Yeah.
And so now, this week with the plea deal here, on the eve of the plea agreement, the whole misunderstanding about identity, where someone called the clerk at the court's office, they were asking the clerk to take down a submission from Chairman Jason Smith, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, who Gary Shapley and Joe Ziegler testified before in private session, and then who was also present for the House Oversight hearing. They asked him to take those down, the clerk to take those down, alleging that they had confidential information in there. And the clerk did initially seal that information. But after the plea deal was scrapped, when Axios reported that Hunter's attorneys were furious, even hours later, they submitted a motion to the court that again doubled down, alleging that the whistleblowers released information protected by law and clearly implying that our client should be charged.
Unbelievable. And the message is, to me, crystal clear. You go after us, we're going to come after you with vengeance.
That's right. And it's clear from what they're doing, they would rather that our client be facing charges and in jail rather than their own client, who America has seen was almost given a complete backdoor DOJ pardon.
Yeah. So you've been practicing the law for a while now. You certainly know the law better than I do. I can't imagine this kind of thing is typical for private citizens.
That's correct. That's correct. And when you say this kind of thing, if you mean the plea deal, I mean this is completely out of the norm.
Yeah.
And you know, yet it's something that for a long time is just part of a long-standing pattern of DOJ giving Hunter Biden preferential treatment, first Tristan, in non-investigating.
Let me play a soundbite. This is your client testifying last week. I want to play this, and then I've got a question. Take a listen.
There were certain investigative steps that we weren't allowed to take that could have led us to President Biden.
And you wanted to take them?
We needed to take them.
And you weren't allowed to take them?
That's correct.
All right, so that was his CBS News interview. What I think is ironic is he testified about Biden DOJ involvement while they were investigating Hunter Biden, and now they are doing the same thing, but they're doing it to your clients, which is just incredibly ironic, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, it's an indication of the lows to which Hunter Biden's attorneys will stoop. But they have done everything that they could throughout this to get the best thing possible for their client. And they were able to take advantage of a brand new team at the Department of Justice. The prosecutors who investigated this case for 5 years, they were taken off completely. And so just as our client and the others at the IRS investigating were. So these prosecutors who the public heard about the other day, Leo Wise and others, they were not a part of the underlying investigation. They've never had any interactions with Gary Shapley because they had nothing to do with the investigation until just recently.
Yeah.
And so Hunter's attorneys are taking advantage of that, of the new guys here, And then, of course, it's in the government's interest because they just wanted to get this finished off. The plea deal, they concluded the very week that the IRS whistleblower's testimony was set to come forward. So it's clear they knew it was going to be bad for them. The government had interest to do this.
Yeah,
So,
and your client, by the way, under oath last week during that testimony. So he could go to jail if he was lying about anything that he said. Tristan Leavitt, appreciate you being with us and breaking that down. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.